Happy Tuesday, everybody. This is the Longhorn Confidential for March 3rd. Today is Election Day, but we are not here to talk about politics. Statesman.com later tonight if you want to see all the primary results and all that fun stuff. We are here to talk on this Longhorn Confidential about the Texas softball team. I'm Danny Davis, the Austin American-Statesman, joined today by Thomas Jones, Zoe Collins Rath. And if you're not a fan of one of the people on this podcast, the person talking right now, I have good news for you. I'm not talking much today. This is going to be the Zoe and Thomas show. They cover the Texas softball team for us and do a great job covering the champions. I'm across the street with the baseball team. We're going to talk about baseball next week with Seth and David Eckert. But today we're going to be talking about the defending champs because SEC play opens next week. The Texas Longhorns are 19-1, ranked third currently in the NFCA poll. So TJ, we'll start with you. With that 19-1 start, their only loss was their third game of the season to Nebraska. I believe 8-5 was that score. So do with that what you will. What is one thing about this Texas softball team that's kind of impressed you so far?
They can still hit. You know, that's kind of what carried the team last year, along with Tegan Cavan. But that lineup, it's still one of the most potent lineups in the country. They're still putting up top 5 runs, top 5, hitting average, power, you name it. That lineup from 1 through 9 is still just loaded. And a lot of familiar names, too. The Reese Atwoods, the Katie Stewarts, Leanne Good, Caden Henry. A lot of proven bats in that lineup.
Zoe, what has stood out to you so far with this Texas team?
I think kind of similar to what Thomas said, like 1 through 9, top to bottom, this is a stacked lineup. And to that point, I am loving the little mini home run derby going on between Reese Atwood and Katie Stewart. I mean, Stewie is leading the home runs with 11, Reese is behind her with 9, but Reese is leading the Longhorns in RBIs. And I also think, too, what has also impressed me is depth. Like Tegan Cavan has a lot more people behind her to give her a little bit of a rest. And I think with the fire offense and, as we know, pitching wins you championships, I think this is going to be a very dangerous Texas team, if that's even possible.
I'm going to ask you to be ridiculously picky here with a 19-1 team that's coming up a national championship. But what is one thing that may concern you about this Texas team 20 games into its season as it gets ready for its SEC opener against South Carolina on Friday?
I think it's too early to nitpick, but I think a bigger issue is making sure that this momentum and this firepower lasts. I don't think Texas hitting a slump in the middle of the season is going to do this team any favors. And the SEC is a gauntlet and it's just going to get harder and harder each week, depending on who you play. But they need to be able to sustain this firepower all the way through June.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have they don't have an established number 2 pitcher behind Tegan Cavan. And I was just talking with Mike White earlier today about that. He's going to kind of rotate depending on the series, depending on the matchups. So, Citlali Gutierrez as a senior has been around. A lot of her action's been out of the bullpen in her career. She may be a number 2. The sophomore Cambria Salmon could be a number 2. Even the freshman Hannah Wells could get a number 2 start sometimes. I think Texas will be fine, but in an ideal world, I think any softball coach would say, all right, we have Tegan starting game 1 and game 3 of a series. We kind of want to start this person game 2. Texas doesn't necessarily have that, but they have options, so that could be good.
20 games in this season. Who is your team MVP? Obviously, there's the front runners. You got Stewie, you got Reese Atwood, you got Tegan Cavan. Who is the team MVP so far through 20 games? TJ, we'll go with you first.
Man, I'll go with Stewie, Katie Stewart, even though she's apparently destroying windows in the graduate student housing across from the field. I don't know if y'all saw that video.
It was part of the wall. Get very close.
Okay. But, look, she's hitting her on-base percentage I'm looking at is .611. I mean, she's hitting .490, leads the team with 11 home runs. She 28 RBIs, a little bit behind Reese Atwood, but nonetheless, the production there. But more importantly, she's playing really good defensively at first base. And this is a new position for her. She played a little bit there last year, but she hasn't really ever been a full-time first baseman. Playing really well defensively, and I think her playing well at first and them not losing a beat defensively coupled with that big bat she has, I'm saying Katie Stewart's the MVP so far.
So who's got your vote here on this election day?
I'm voting for Reese Atwood. I have always loved the catcher. I played catcher, and I think outside of what she can produce offensively, I think her leadership is so special. Her ability to calm the infield and communicate and work with Tegan when she's in the circle and all the pitchers really, which is a hard thing to do. So her being able to just take control of a game and help everyone is something that's really special and I think is necessary for a great leader like Reese.
She's got that aura too, doesn't she? Like
Yes, she does.
when she strolls out of the dugout to the plate, the stadium starts buzzing. I mean, there's not a lot of players in softball that have that impact.
Not at all.
On the flip side, who this team has some household names that we've spoken about. We didn't even mention Tegan in that MVP talk, and we saw what she did in the playoffs in the tournament last year. But who may be an under the radar, underrated, maybe a fresh face on this Texas team that stepped up and has definitely helped this team off to this 19-1 start. Zoe, we'll start with you first.
I don't want to say that she's underrated, but I think she can be a little bit underappreciated sometimes. Leanne Good in the Super Regional against Clemson in one of those long nights. Thomas, you know Vo very, very well. And in game 3 against Texas Tech, she came up and swung in huge moments and put up some big numbers for her team. If Leanne Good doesn't hit the ball the way that she did against Clemson, I don't think we would have seen Texas and Oklahoma City. And she's just continuing that firepower, and she's really, really good at the infield too. So just a little bit of love to Leanne Good this election day.
Yeah,
I agree with
who's got your
Zoe.
vote?
I agree with Zoe. I think Caden Henry may be underappreciated at center field because she's, I think, one of the best five-tool players in the country, especially with her power this year. But Leanne, Leanne Good's been around. She's a senior already. I think, like Zoe said, people don't quite realize how good she is. I mean, she's hitting 512, leading
Yeah.
the team. But really, last year she showed her value by sliding over to short when Vivi Martinez was hurt. She really solidified that infield. And this year with Martinez back playing well at short, Leanne's playing second, and you see that combination because they're both the same members of the recruiting class 4 years ago. So really, they haven't played together that much because of injuries over the years. But those two together in the middle infield, it's really good. So I'm going Leanne too. No runoff needed, Danny and Zoe.
Unanimous. We get the 100%. Don't need that 50% threshold. So this weekend on Friday, Texas heads to South Carolina. That's their SEC opener. South Carolina is ranked 23rd in the NFC poll right now. After that is Ole Miss at home, and I think Ole Miss is receiving votes, but not ranked. But because the SEC is as good as the SEC is, those two may be their easiest series, which is kind of funny to say for a team. They're ranked 23 and a team receiving votes. The SEC is a gauntlet. We hear it about every sport, but it may be especially true in softball. Best conference in the country. We expect the usual suspects: Oklahoma, Tennessee still undefeated, Alabama, A&M. All the usual suspects are there. But let's not include Oklahoma because Oklahoma always gets discussed with softball. If you're Texas, which SEC team are you kind of being like, okay, that's the team that I need to watch out for. This is the team that may ruin my chances at a conference championship. TJ, who's standing out to you in the SEC?
I mean, Tennessee's number one for a reason right now. They're just playing so well. And for those who haven't paid attention to them this year, we all know about Carlin Pickens, maybe the most dominant pitcher in the game, her with the 80-mile-per-hour fastball or whatever she throws. But looking at their numbers, and they have a .53 ERA as a staff. I mean, it's insane. But the best thing for Tennessee is Pickens has only thrown, I want to say 47 of the 119 innings. So unlike last year when she had to carry the load of that staff, they're getting her some rest. They're doing what Mike White does with Tegan Kavan. You don't overwork her in the regular season. So I think she's going to be fresher than she showed in, last year in Oklahoma City. She won that fresh. It's kind of like Nyjah Candy for Tech, wore out at the end. Pickens wore out too. She's getting rest this year. I think that makes Tennessee better this year than the team that made the World Series last year.
Zoe, what SEC team stands out to you aside from Texas, Oklahoma?
I'm with Thomas on this one. It's Tennessee. Carlin Pickens has stayed throwing straight heat throughout her entire career. And the bullpen is so deep and so strong, especially with Sage Marchenko coming back. And because of how well they've been pitching, they've been past some really hard season tests, beating UCLA, Oregon, Florida State, and even Nebraska when they have a really great two-way player there in Jordy Ball now from. But it's going to be really hard to beat Tennessee or most of the other teams in the SEC in that top tier.
Kelly Gassel's still a sorcerer at OU. It's you can't count out the Sooners.
Well, if
No.
you're a Texas fan, you can look forward to seeing Tennessee come to town. Never, because Tennessee is not on the schedule this year. But I have a feeling Texas may run into them in Lexington for the SEC tournament, or probably in OKC for the Women's College World Series, because both those teams are definitely playing like they are OKC bound once again. But that's going to do it for us on our we want to kind of catch everyone up on softball with conference play. Set to heat up this weekend. Check statesman.com throughout the weekend as we kind of track what's going on in Columbia with this team. And obviously next week when Ole Miss comes to town, we'll have plenty of coverage from that. TJ's been working up a sweat, hanging out there at McCombs Field. That sun doesn't do well for us bald guys. We need some hair to kind of keep the sweat away. But that's gonna do it for me. That's gonna do it for Thomas Jones, and that's gonna do it for Tom Rath's favorite Longhorn Confidential contributor, Zoe College Rath. We appreciate y'all for checking us out and watching along. We'll be back next week with a baseball preview. The week after that, we'll be all about the NCAA basketball tournaments. But yeah, we'll see y'all later. Deuces.